My name is Scott Steffen. I'm the Director of Safety, Compliance, and Fuel here at Melton Truck Lines. As you can imagine in trucking, one of the biggest expenditures we have is on fuel. In fact, in 2010, Melton Truck Lines spent $39 million alone on fuel. So you can imagine why we do everything we can to conserve as much fuel as we can. If we conserve fuel and save money, that's more money in your pocket. Just the smallest percentage of savings can save millions of dollars. Here at Melton Truck Lines, we're going to show you how to drive your truck properly, including which RPM ranges you should be shifting in, how fast you should be going down the road, when you get maintenance, and we're also going to show you what our fuel solutions are, where we can get the best price on fuel. We need to make sure that we're always thinking about fuel conservation when we're going down the road, because the more money we save on fuel, the more money goes in your pocket. So let's learn something about fuel.
These days in the United States, we use about 50 billion gallons of diesel fuel a year. About 3 million Class 8 trucks on the road use about 18 billion of those gallons. So there's a lot of money being spent on diesel fuel. Let's do the numbers for a typical truck. A good miles per gallon figure for the average long-haul truck is between 6 and 7 mpg. So how much fuel does a typical truck use each year if it goes 120,000 miles? At 6 miles per gallon, that would be 20,000 gallons. And because we don't know where fuel prices are going to go, let's just use $4 a gallon as an estimate. Using $4 takes the fuel cost to about $80,000 a year. Some fleets have 10,000 trucks. Here's how much that fleet spends on fuel each year. 10,000 trucks times $80,000 per truck, or $800 million. So what happens if that fleet can boost its average miles per gallon by just 1%? It would save them 1/100th of $800 million, $8 million. And that's why fleet owners pay so much attention to fuel economy. For a fleet, fuel can be the second or third biggest expense. In other segments of this DVD, you'll see how you can have a positive impact on fuel economy in your vehicle. Summer driving gets you 8 to 12% better mileage than winter driving. That's because colder, denser air in winter increases air resistance and drag. In addition, cold air may reduce tire pressure, which hurts mileage. Cold lubricants decrease mileage, and winter fuel blends are also less efficient. Worn tires get up to 7% better mileage than new ones. That's because new tires have greater tread depth, which increases rolling resistance. And worn concrete gets you 12% better mileage than new concrete because of decreased rolling resistance. While you might not be able to do much about the fuel economy factors you just heard about, they do matter to the fleet. And along with factors that are under your control, such as the trailer gap, engine RPMs, and tire pressure, they affect the miles per gallon you get on every load you carry. While some of the factors affecting fuel economy are not under your control, many of them are. So when you're getting ready to take out a load, there are some things you can control to maximize fuel economy. How about tire pressure?
Tire inflation is important for several reasons. Not only will underinflated tires slow you down because it takes more power to move the load, but tires that are 10 psi underinflated will cost you as much as 1% in fuel economy.
Another percentage point in fuel economy, another $800 a year. Time for a knowledge check. Which trailer gap gets you better fuel economy, 30 inches or 40 inches? Reducing the trailer gap from 40 to 30 inches improves fuel economy by 1%. Remember, that's $800 a year. Here's another question. Does running on tires that are underinflated increase fuel economy or decrease it? Running on tires that are underinflated hurts fuel economy. For example, tires that are 10 psi underinflated decrease fuel mileage by 1%, so check your tire pressure regularly. Right now, let's talk about one of the most important ways you can improve fuel economy. The way you shift and what gear you're in affect fuel economy. The higher the RPMs, the more fuel you're using. RPMs are so important that Cummins engines have special features to help you operate your vehicle at the best possible RPM for maximum fuel economy, all the while giving you the power you need when you need it. Those features include load-based speed control, gear down protection, and several more that we'll talk about later. When you start off and accelerate, you want to run the RPMs just high enough so that when you shift, the engine comes back into gear at the right RPM so you can keep picking up speed. The bottom line is you don't want to run up the RPMs any higher than you absolutely have to. It used to be true that engines operated better at high RPM. You'd run up the RPMs to get the pulling power you needed. But now diesel engines, especially Cummins engines, operate with power at low RPMs. For example, the Cummins ISX engine gives peak pulling power at 1150 RPM. Even in other Cummins engine models, peak torque is achieved no higher than 1600 RPM, so you don't need to run up those RPMs like you used to. The quicker you get to top gear and stay there, the better. If you're spending only 75 or 80% of your time in top gear instead of 90%, you're losing 3 or 4 percentage points in fuel economy. That could be $2,400 or $3,200 a year in fuel costs. Experts estimate that the difference between efficient operators and less efficient operators is as much as 30% when it comes to fuel economy. When we're talking $80,000 a year in fuel costs, that's a lot of money. So Cummins urges you to work with the factors under your control: the trailer gap, tire pressure, shifting techniques, idling time, to be as efficient as you possibly can. Time for a knowledge check. Time for a knowledge check. At which RPM does the typical Cummins engine have more torque? At 1150 to 1600 RPM? Or at 1900 to 2300 RPM? Today's Cummins engines produce their peak torque way below 1600 RPM. Typically at 1100 RPM for the ISX and ISM, and ranging up to 1600 for the ISB. So you get your power economically at low RPMs and save fuel. Cruise control keeps your truck at the recommended cruise speed. It's a great way to improve fuel economy by avoiding acceleration and deceleration, which hurt mileage. It also allows you to drive comfortably with your foot off the accelerator. The cruise control on your Cummins engine operates like cruise control on an automobile. You set a vehicle speed, and the engine control module provides the fueling commands to keep the speed constant. Your vehicle may be equipped with 2 cruise control switches. The first is the on-off switch. The second switch allows you to set the cruise control speed, resume your cruise control speed after slowing down, accelerate, and coast. All cruise control operations must take place at vehicle speeds higher than 30 miles per hour. To turn on your cruise control, flip the on-off switch to on. Then accelerate to the road speed you want and use the set switch to hold your speed there. To increase or decrease your cruising speed, bump the accelerate switch or coast switch. Each time you bump one of those switches, your speed increases or decreases by 1 mile an hour. To stop using cruise control, press the brake pedal or clutch pedal, or flip the on-off switch to off. To resume your cruising speed, be sure the on-off switch is on. Then bump the resume switch. Your fleet manager controls a number of settings that affect how cruise control works. For example, one setting is the cruise control maximum vehicle speed, the fastest road speed you can drive in cruise control. However, it could be that your cruise control maximum vehicle speed is set slightly higher than the accelerator maximum vehicle speed. That provides you with an incentive to operate in cruise control and improve fuel economy. It is also possible for the cruise control maximum vehicle speed to be set slightly lower than the accelerator maximum vehicle speed. This allows a little reserve speed in passing situations that require the use of the accelerator pedal. The cruise control and road speed governors are designed alike. They both have parameters that can be tailored to provide the desired combination of performance, economy, and speed control. With cruise control on, you may notice that your uphill and downhill speeds are slightly different than the flat road speeds, just as with the road speed governor. You may also notice that the engine brake activates at a certain number of miles per hour above your cruise control maximum, for example, on a downhill slope. And one more thing, you may notice that your cruise control maximum speed is different than the road speed governor maximum. The fleet settings emphasize either fuel economy or performance, or a balance of the two. Be sure to know how the parameters of the cruise control are set up by your fleet. Here's a knowledge check, true or false. The maximum road speed you can run in cruise control may be higher than the maximum speed you can run using your accelerator pedal as determined by the road speed governor. The statement is true. It's possible that your fleet manager might set the maximum speed using cruise control slightly higher than the maximum speed you can achieve using the accelerator pedal. This is to encourage the use of cruise control as a fuel economy aid. Any engine spends a good portion of its life at idle. Your engine's ECM controls 3 idle features that help you improve fuel economy, reduce cab noise and vibration, and comply with emission and idle law. As we've said, idling uses fuel, but some operators think their engines need time to warm up, so they let it idle while they're going through their pre-trip checklist. But today's engines don't need time to warm up. You can drive off at 60 or 70% of throttle as soon as you have oil pressure, so save a gallon of fuel. In addition, some operators also feel that it's better not to shut off their heavy-duty rigs.
With today's engines, that couldn't be further from the truth. New engines' fuel systems are optimized to start well in cold weather. So go ahead, shut your truck down and save some fuel.
Plus, look at it this way. How many miles are you getting for that gallon of fuel you're using when the engine's running and you're not moving? Right, 0 mpg. Time for a knowledge check. The amount of time an engine will idle before shutting down is how long? 5 minutes? Or programmable by the fleet manager? The amount of time an engine idles before shutting down is programmable by the fleet. Your engine from 2007 or later features the Cummins particulate filter, the heart of its after-treatment system, to meet 2007 EPA emission requirements. In addition, engines from 2010 or later include SCR systems to meet the 2010 NOx emissions regulations. But with all those features, just remember these things. Don't idle any more than you have to. Get into top gear as fast as you can and stay in top gear as long as you can.
Let your Cummins engine help you save fuel. And remember, these engines will deliver the performance you need when you need it.
Take advantage of the fuel economy features in your Cummins engine. You'll gain better miles per gallon without sacrificing performance, dependability, or drivability. So drive down the road with a leader in the industry, Cummins.